Welcome everybody to Beyond the Screen. I'm John Wally. Today we're going to be covering how to do offline updates, and there'll be two portions to this video. The first piece we'll be talking about how to do plugins and fingerprinting and Suricata rules and those type of things in the interface in the front end. We'll also be talking about how do we update the actual application itself, but here's a trick, in a 100% air-gapped environment. A lot of times Tenable OT has deployed environments where you cannot just download the updates automatically, like going out to plugins.tenable.com and automatically doing updates. Many of our customers actually need us to come in and help update that process. There's also a comment that somebody had left, and I want to thank Brian for that. This is specifically for you. Thank you for the request, and we'll be covering how to do those plugins and how to do the applications. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing you want to do is log into your Tenable OT Security interface. I'm going to scroll down to our actual system configuration, and then we will go to our updates. And if you'll notice in the updates section, it's going to tell you that you can do your automated updates. So we could turn each one of these on. If you're connected to the internet, they will automatically update. But what if you're not? What if you, for some reason, like I said, you're in an air-gapped environment behind a firewall or a diode, and you can't get out to download these? Well, every single one of these have a special download link for offline updates. So you can go and click Update from File, and you're going to get a link. Now, this is a very special link. You can see mine down at the bottom. This is a test kind of one that they wouldn't work for you if you tried to put this one in, but it's going to download a very specific file, and it's going to have a code behind it that ties it back to your license. Each one of these are done separately for individual licenses, but you'll go down and you'll download each one of these. Once it's downloaded, which I've already done, then you can go in and drop the file or browse to the file that you're looking for. I typically recommend going from the bottom to the top, and the reason why is these files get larger and larger as you go up to the Nessus plugin set. I start with fingerprinting, then I go to my IDS rules, and then I go to Nessus, because you're going to have to wait on each one to finish as you go through this process. So I'm going to hit cancel here. I'm going to start at the bottom, like I said, and we're going to upload from file. Now, I've already done this. I've done the downloads, but I'm just going to browse, and I know you can't see my folders, but I'm going to select as the very first one for fingerprinting. It's going to be called pii.tar.gc. I'm going to say open, and you'll see this now as the file name. I'm going to hit update, and you'll see the system will start updating for those plugins. Our first fingerprinting update went through. I can close this out. I'm going to do the same thing for my IDS engine. I'm going to say update from file. I'm going to browse to my files. I'm going to choose my Suricata rules.tar.gc, and you'll see this in here, and I'm going to say update. And you'll see a lot of rules were added or edited here. The final one we're going to do is go to update from file. I'm going to say browse one more time. And then here, I'm going to select all-2.0.tar.gz. I'm going to open that. Here, you'll see the all-2.0.tar.gc, and I'm going to select update. Now, this can take a while, and this is why I moved from the bottom up to the top. And you'll even get a notice that this can take as long as 30 minutes or longer to complete. We're going to speed the video up here, but just so you know, this can take a little while. Now, while we're waiting on these to finish, I know there's a couple of questions that almost always come up. Number one is when I click update from file, if I have to click on this in order to download it, but I'm not connected to the internet, how do I do this? Really easily, you can right click. You can actually save your link or copy your link address, put that into a file, and that will work for a system that's online. You'll just have to move those links over so that you know what they are. So that's the first piece. The second piece, I'll get questions all the time like, why don't you just update them all at the same time? The biggest reason we don't do that, as I've seen issues, that if one update fails, it'll have a cascading effect with all the other updates. So it's really easy to troubleshoot if I know exactly which one failed and how I need to clean things up. Typically, there's temporary files that are put on the system. If one gets corrupted for some reason, it will block all the other update files. By me knowing exactly which one failed, it helps me go look in the system and clean those up manually through command line. So I typically would do them one at a time, like I said, starting at the bottom and moving it to the top. It looks like all of our updates have gone through, and now it's just being loaded up for the last little part. And this will take a little bit of time as well. I think we're at about 25 minutes or so, maybe a little more, a little less than that. I wasn't really tracking time. And we got this Nessus is still being loaded. So it's going to load these up in the background. Once that finishes, we'll be able to move on to doing our application updates. There we go. We are all set. So we are completely done with all of our plugin updates, our IDS engine rule set updates, and our dynamic fingerprinting. So each one of these have a little bit different role I'll talk about real quick. Your fingerprinting engine is about how you determine what assets are. And so that's always being updated. It's how we fingerprint assets by watching them either passively or actively. Then you have your IDS engine rule set. This is more for your intrusion detection system. And then you have your Nessus plugins, which is used for actually doing Nessus scans out of Tenable OT. As promised, we're going to jump to the back end. But before we do, we need to do a little bit of prep work. We're going to go to downloads.tenable.com, and that will actually turn into tenable.com/downloads. We're going to go into Tenable Appliances, and under Tenable Appliances, you're going to scroll down until you get to Tenable Core, Tenable OT Security. This is where you're going to get your update for your system, assuming that you're running on Tenable Core. You're going to scroll down and you will find Tenable Core OL8 Tenable OT Offline ISO, and it'll have a date with it. This one in particular was released in April. You're going to look for the latest one, and you want to make sure that it says offline. You're going to have to be logged in to do this. If you're not logged in, and you'll see I'm logged in up at the top, if you're not logged in here, you will not be able to download this. So it won't help unless you have an account with Tenable. Once you download this, this can be fairly large file. You'll see that this one's at almost 5 gigabytes. Just something to know that you're going to have to download that file ahead of time, and you're going to have to move it over into your environment so you can do your updates. So that may take a little bit of time, especially if you have special systems for doing that, or if you have portable media that you have scanned, those kind of things. You want to move this over to your system that you're going to be updating. The second thing you're going to do is a log in the cockpit. So we're going to go to OT Security with our IP address is on port 8000. When we get there, we're going to check a couple of things. Number one, you'll see that we have an active license, which is important. And you'll see we're running on version 4.3.74. Well, if you look over here, you'll see that our versioning is very different on this side. If you look, this is running on 4.6.34, so it's actually a couple of versions that we'll be upgrading all at one time. The second thing I'm going to do is show you a little bit about networking and show that we truly are offline. So if I go to networking and I look at my interfaces, my primary interface that I'm talking on is this 10.2.9.203. If I click on this and I go into edit, what you'll see is I have no gateway established, no DNS set up, and no route to get to the internet in any way. So I can talk to other machines on my network, much like if I was air-gapped on a single network or kind of like an island, but I can't go beyond that. I can't even get into my own internal networks from one network to another because there is no gateway. To prove this, I'm going to go over to our terminal and we're going to reconnect here. And I'm just going to ping Google. And you'll see there's no service. That's just because we don't have DNS, but I could actually try doing this as well, like ping and something like plugins.tenable.com, just to make sure that we can't get to automated plugins. And you'll see again, we don't have a name or service because our DNS isn't working. But even to check further, let's go ahead and ping something like Google's DNS by IP address. And you'll see that the network's not reachable. This is to show that we are 100% offline. So as you've seen that we updated those plugins, it was all successful with no connectivity back and forth to Tenable or any of the plugin resources. Before we get into the actual updates, we want to change some of the settings. So I'm going to go down over to my update management, and you'll notice that we have the system updates that we say on boot updates, and then we have scheduled system updates. I'm going to go in and edit these and disable them. And the reason why is this is going to go out, it's going to try to hit your firewall doing daily updates, and it's going to fail and you're going to get errors. It's easier to just turn this off. So now that I've turned this one off, I'm going to go back to my update management. The same thing for on boot system updates. I'm going to go ahead and edit this and turn this off as well. So now that both of those should be disabled, that way we're not going to get a lot of hits on our firewalls. You'll see that our system's up to date. It checked 30 minutes ago. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to upload a new offline. You'll see I downloaded a bunch of these for Sensor. I did one for Tenable OT, and I even did one for Security Center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Tenable OT offline ISO that we showed earlier. I'm going to select this and I'm going to say open. What this will start doing is uploading this through a process. Now, every once in a while, you may get an error on this about opening up an additional port. If that happens, usually what you have to do is go in and make sure that your firewall is not blocking something. But typically that's not the case if you're 100% on-prem because you're just talking to yourself. It could happen if you're on a jump station that you're getting to this from a remote location, and it'll tell you what port it needs to be if it ends up failing. So our ISO has been attached. This is the first piece of this so it's uploaded and now it's going to attach it, and you're going to see that we have all of this updated and it's ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is click Install Updates. The system seems to be up to date. It finished about 7 seconds ago, but now you'll see it's requiring a reboot. Now, sometimes this will knock you out of the interface in port 8000. You can just say reconnect and it'll bring you back to the space. It has to do with depending on what things are being updated in there, and sometimes that could even include cockpit, which is where we are. So it'll resync and require you to have a new login. The next step that we need to do is actually reboot the system. This will require several updates at the operating system level. To do that, we're going to go to Overview and we're simply going to hit Reboot, and we're going to say reboot with no delay and reboot. That's going to disconnect us, and the system should be up pretty quickly here. We should be rebooted by now. I'm going to hit reconnect, and I'm going to go to my login and log back in the cockpit. So then I'm going to go to update management. If we scroll down, we'll see here that the system is completely up to date, and we'll see today that we've installed all of our packages with the new date. The next thing we want to do is go up to Tenable OT Security. And you're going to see a difference here now. You're going to see that our running version right now is 4.3.74, but our RPM version is 4.6.34. The RPM version means the version that it can upgrade. It has an RPM for that upgrade on the system now. All you got to do is hit this little blue arrow button that says upgrade, and that will start the upgrade process. I'm going to click here. It says upgrade Tenable OT Security. And then you're going to see that it's been installed. This can take a little while. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll start seeing some different installers down here. It hasn't started yet, but you'll start seeing that as we update, that you'll see those updates come through. We've scrolled through a lot of the updates, and the very last thing we see here is starting OT Security. That's what you want to see. Now it'll take 2, 3, maybe even 4 minutes for Tenable OT to start up, but at least we know that the install and the updates finished successfully. So one of the things that I can do is I can go check up here at the top again, and you'll see now our RPM version's on 4.6 and our application version is on 4.6. So that's the first piece. We want to make sure that we're actually running on the newest version. So we've completed that portion. The second portion is we want to go check on the interface as well and make sure that everything is running properly. So I'm going to jump over to our first tab where we log into Tenable OT. And it says, welcome to the latest enhancements. So now we can go check and see everything that's new. We'll see that we're on version 4.6.34. So now we know the update actually happened and everything went through. Hopefully this video has been helpful for everybody watching. I want to call out and say thank you to Brian for bringing this to my attention. Hopefully this helps. If there's any other videos that you would like to see out there, put it in the comments below. I'd love to answer those and actually put content out there that's helpful for everybody that's watching. Until next time, have a great day.